Okay, NXT. We just had No Mercy a couple of days ago, and it was good. Very good, in fact. But what did we get for this NXT? Was it a good NXT? No. Now, I'm sure people are going to say, what? Wait, you lost your mind. You can't see? I'm sure people are going to say, dude, this show was not that bad. In fact, it was pretty good. No. I'm sorry. You have to understand, and I'm going to explain it right now before I go through the review. This NXT was not good for one reason. One, and I know some people are just not going to understand. I'm going to keep asking, and I'm going to keep explaining it like, watch my video. I'm going to explain why. This was not about the young talent. Remember, NXT is a developmental. That's what Vince allowed it to become. And that's what it's always been. Even though Triple H managed to make it so popular that people believed it was another brand of NXT, of Raw, SmackDown, and then it became a brand even though it wasn't official. Vince didn't like it. And when Triple H got sick, he killed it. Not Triple H, but Vince recreated it as NXT 2.0 as it was in its title. Now we're in 2.5. Well, we were in 2.5 when it was run by Shawn Michaels. Now we're in NXT 3.0 because now with the merger with TKO Group Holdings, there is no WWE anymore. It is TKO Group Holdings, WWE. Vince doesn't own the company anymore. He refused to pass it to his daughter and son-in-law. It is now controlled by someone else. And Vince currently is one of the chairman, well, mainly the executive chairman of not only WWE, but TKO Group Holdings. We don't have a WWE anymore. So when you see this show, what it once was, and once it was gone and brought back the right way by Shawn Michaels, the 2.5 version was the only time we saw a real new NXT. Not saying it was great, but it was a new one. One that could have been built correctly into something that would be more of a Shawn Michaels version of what Triple H did. Something that, like I said, takes a little bit of the old, a little bit of what Triple H made, and made it something that could have passed by as something good. Now we don't have that. Let's open. Tyler Bates versus Gallus. Now you guys tell me below, and I gotta say this right now. When the blue hell did they start making smoke the most apparent thing to NXT? Tell me you didn't notice. Throughout the entire show, and I'm getting to the match in a minute, but throughout the entire show, all we got was smoke. So bad in some cases, we couldn't even see what was going on in a freaking ring. Someone said, like, if anybody's seen Star Trek Next Generation, when Patrick Stewart said, I was a director there, and I wanted certain things done, like having a huge amount of smoke. That's what we just got, a Patrick Stewart smoke fest. But after it was done, we get the match. Now, Gallus interfered in the Heritage Cup Invitational. And I know I'm just mixing up Heritage Cup and Global Invitational. I just screwed them up on purpose because what does this really give us? We just teamed up Tyler Bates with Butch. Is that a one-time thing? Or now they teamed up together permanently because they have no idea what to do with Butch and what they got to do with Tyler Bates, because Tyler is actually very, very good wrestler and he's very charismatic. Yeah, he's like this compared to wrestlers like this who are outside the frame. But it doesn't mean he couldn't get over. So it's like, well, someone didn't want to see Tyler just by himself, so throw him with Butch. Does that mean he's going to be with the Brawling Brutes? I don't think so. At least unless Sheamus comes back, because we get the match. Was not a bad match. Eventually, let's make it clear. I'm going to tell you this. Once you see Tyler and Butch win, and they get the beat down, then you see Rich Holland. And he comes out. Now, there's a reason why that's going on, because Sheamus is still out, as far as I know. and until Sheamus comes back, they got to do something with the Brawling Brutes. So they're adding one extra person temporarily, which I believe is Tyler Bates. Unless he's going to be a Brawling Brute permanently, he's temporary. He's a temporary extra guy for the Brawling Brutes, which does not mean it's special. Unless you make Gallus and the Brawling Brutes a thing. In other words, you got 2 sets of Irish guys and 1 Brit. You're going to be honest. That's what you got. Gallus is all Irish. The Brawling Brutes has 1 Irish guy. Well, usually have 2 with Butch and Sheamus. Now you got Rich Holland, who's British, and you got Tyler, who's British. So you got the Brawling Brutes. Unless you make it about British attitude, British story, British, in other words, you stupid Irish are no match for us Brits, it ain't gonna matter. And I know you're gonna say, dude, that's stereotyping. What do you think goes for WWE all the time? Even AEW does it. Like I said in the Wrestle Dream, when it comes to Swerve Strickland and saying that he's going to be the first black AEW champion, it's not necessary to say it. But it's still, they do stereotypes in wrestling. I personally don't believe stereotypes is needed every single match, in every single storyline. Sometimes it does work. Here, I think they should do stereotyping, where you got some Brits up against some Irish and say, you Irish don't know a damn thing. In this case, it makes more sense because you got 2 sets of European wrestling factions that gotta have a better reason to do this over the Heritage Cup of Nolan Dar, who really isn't factored in anything. I'm just saying. Next, we get the 3-way. That's a #1 contendership for Halloween Havoc against Becky Lynch. I will get to her in a moment, but I'm going to tell you this. I had a feeling Valkyria was going to win, and she did win. Was it good to see Indy Hartwell there? No. I'm going to be honest. Seeing Indy there, she shouldn't be there. When it came to Roxanne Perez going up against Kiana James, I'm like, really? You got nothing else for Kiana, so you had to make a beat up on Roxanne Perez. Why? Because of what? She's saying in her interview that me and her came at the same time. She thinks she's better than everybody. She had it laid out for her. What about me? That's not enough. It didn't feel like enough for Kiana. She deserved better than that. But the reason that I'm acting like this, instead of making it about what this is, the NXT Championship, because it's not. Look, guys, the opening of the show had Becky Lynch, who, yes, tore open her arm, and she's got muscle torn as well as fat. I saw it. I saw it on X. I saw her picture on X and her tweet. Damn, that's bad. And she's got 11 stitches in her arm. Those matches, extreme matches, really can tear up your body. And I take nothing away from Becky. But this isn't about NXT. This was about putting over Becky. If this was about NXT, she shouldn't have opened the show. I'm telling you right now, Becky shouldn't have opened the show. She shouldn't have. It should have happened with Dragunov, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Becky opened the show, and then she gets a Valkyria coming out talking about when she saw Becky headline NXT in the first NXT she ever headlined. Literally, she was inspired to become a wrestler. And from when, I think it was PWG, the promotion that was started in Ireland, how people were going crazy over knowing that one of their own was so over in 2014. It's like, it was wonderful to see. I'm glad to see it. Indy Hartwell comes out. Understandable. Then you're going to have Roxanne Perez. She did well. But the problem, she shouldn't have opened the show. I'm sorry. As much as she's over, this should not be about her. This should be about all three, well, 2 of the 3 women there. But it was not. You know who should have opened? Ilya Dragunov, who opened 38 minutes later. He opened. and put over Carmelo Hayes, which was good. Talked about who he is and made sure that people understood that no one's going to deal with the Czar. And then we get Trick coming out, the North American champion, which makes perfect sense. He comes out and he thanks Dragunov for pushing him the way he did. Carmelo comes out, and it's understandable because he lost his title. He wants to make it clear, why are you going to him to praise him when I've been telling you this for years, dog? This is me. And understand, I got to say this right now because I don't want to forget. Whoop that Trick, boy, is getting over. Look what happened with when it came to Trinity dealing with Deanna Purrazzo. I believe, what's it, Deanna Purrazzo? I can't remember who. No, going up against Gazelle Shaw when she wrestled her last week. You heard a Mickie James saying, "You won, girl. You won, sis. You won him. Whoop that Trick." It's now come so popular what Trick Williams did that Impact Wrestling is now taking that and it's run with it when it came to the knockouts, which is good to see. Trick Williams is over. Trick Williams managed to get somewhere. Like I said, he needed to be on his own and he needed to start pushing and see if he can do it. And we get this. And now we see, because of what happened in that segment, that Dragunov said, "Are you upset? Why are you up here? This is between champions." But essentially, he knows they're not done, and this is Dragunov to Mello. But he said, "Talk with your boy." And he walks out. Yes, Dom comes out, says what he says, and that's it. But this is not about this. This is about Trick dealing with Mello. And when you see what happened with Dragunov talking the way he was, and then you see Braun Breaker approaching Mello and makes it very clear, dude, I know what happened. I know you mad. I know you're frustrated. I know you're pissed. And you're a damn good champion. But now, this is your moment to take everything you had and make something out of it, to mold yourself like I did and whoop that ass. Whoop everyone, including Trick, especially. Where was your boy when you lost? Was he there, gorilla? No, he was on his own. And when you see this situation, it's still not about Mello. And it's not even going to be about Braun. When you see that Mello came out after it was over because Trick told me he didn't want him there, and Mello said, he was interviewed and the person said, "Are you upset about what happened?" He said, "No, I know my boy Trick is going to win. He asked me not to be, I'm not going to be there." And also asked, "Are you going to do what Braun Breaker says?" He says, "No, that's my boy. I'm proud of him and I'm not going to do that. But you know what? I'm going to do something. Me and Braun Breaker going up against each other." And that would be understandable because it's like, you're trying to turn me on my boy. I'm not going to do that. And just for that, I'm going to face you and show you how, even though I've lost my title, I can bounce back. But what took away from that, but also added to it at the same time, is John Cena is going to be there in his corner because he spoke to John. And John encouraged him not to let that loss kill you, because he's done 16 times. He had to rebuild himself, and he did it 16 times as I got to say this. I am going to do, after this, I'm going to possibly film 2 Gump reports. One on Edge, Adam Copeland in AEW, what my thoughts are, and if John Cena is the greatest of all time. I've been considering it. I didn't want to do it, but hearing him keep saying he's the greatest of all time, I got to have my own opinion. But he made it clear John is going to be by his side. But then, at the end of the show, which I will be getting to in a moment, you get Paul Heyman saying, as the representative of the greatest of all time, he's talking about Roman Reigns, this is not fair. This is not right. And you know what's going to happen? Next Tuesday, Carmelo's going to have John Cena in his corner. I'm going to be in Mello's corner. Not Mello. I'm going to be in Braun Breaker's corner. Sorry, I said Mello. Many would say, at this point, dude, these guys are getting John and Paul Heyman in their corners. You could say that was good, but is it because they want to do something with Melo and they want to do something with Braun, or are they going to try and use this to drum up even more interest in NXT because the ratings have gone up because of most of the roster from Raw and SmackDown throwing on there. But then, if you're throwing John Cena on there so people will watch it, and then you throw Paul Heyman, the representative, who could bring in Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa because Roman's still not there, I would not be surprised they show up this Tuesday because someone's going to get their ass whooped. Then, is this really about Melo? Is this really about Braun? Or is this about interjecting more of the main roster down in NXT to make it more interesting? Because someone decided that HBK's work is just not enough, even though he's had even less time to reorganize the entire show than Triple H did when he took over from Vince. He had less time. He didn't have as much time as Triple H. He's barely even begun compared to Triple H. And I'm not even saying it was great work, but when you saw it, you know the difference. I'm just saying. Next, we get Gigi Dolan versus Davenport. Here's the thing. Do I hate Gigi Dolan? No. Do I hate Davenport? No. Are they trying to make a story out of this? Yes. Do I feel the story? Not yet. But do I believe they're about to end the story soon? Yes. And that's what's telling me by Halloween Havoc, this may be over. And there's your problem. These two need a longer time to really build into each other and have a signature match. But I don't believe they're going to do it. And even in this match, they had the most amount of smoke throughout the entire show. When Davenport got attacked by Gigi, guess what? Gigi basically was almost impossible to see because the smoke was so thick I couldn't see it. So, oh, hang on a second. I had to make sure the battery was still working. I get nervous because it's happened twice before. When the battery gets near half, sometimes it literally will just cut off my audio. Because this isn't a mic that gets constantly powered. It could just go off. And I'm going, oh, no, I got to keep looking. And sorry. But when you saw the match, the very opening when Gigi attacked because Davenport came out, the smoke came from when Davenport came out. Gigi attacked her. They both were standing in the most thickest smoke I've seen throughout the entire show. Who is the one who decided to use so much damn smoke? I thought they would use smoke on very special wrestlers. They did it almost through the entire show. I'm just saying. And pretty much it was, who won? Gigi won, but then pretty much got their asses whooped. I mean, that's just how it is. Now, let's move on to the 2023 Women's Breakout Tournament. Now, I'm not going to name all the women because I forgot them already. Forgot their names. But they got a full 8 women to do the new breakout. Question's going to be, how are they going to book this? Now, they had Kiana Jordan. I believe her name is Kiana Jordan versus Liz Damon. Damon looked very sloppy. She looks good, but her ring work was sloppy. Jordan, who has barely been on the roster only a few months and had maybe a handful of matches, looked better than her, and that's worrisome. If Dane is still there and she's working in the performance center, they need to work with her because in most cases she was sloppy. But when she didn't look sloppy, she was impressive. I'm interested in seeing how far to go with her, but with so many other women who are coming back from the last one, going to be a question. And Miss Jackson was there. I'm not trying to be nasty or anything, but Miss Jackson, a metaphor, is like that. And she knows what she got. And she's smart enough to understand that Vince likes titty. So I'm going to show as much as I can get away with. and I'm going to grease those suckers up good so everyone's going to look at them. And that's what we got. Now, mind you, I have seen her wrestle once or twice. She doesn't have a bad character, and she can wrestle better than Lash Legend. I've seen Lash Legend wrestle. She does not wrestle very well, but I'm telling you, Jackson can wrestle. So it's going to be her learning, and this is me. Anybody else can say, well, dude, that's not right. This is how it is. I can say that she has to figure out what she wants to do. She's a very beautiful woman, and she needs to find a balance between letting her sexuality and her wrestling find a good balance. Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be more sexual because she's going to look so much that everyone wants to screw her? And she'll use that to her advantage, like a Mandy Rose, because look what happened with Mandy. She got over like stink. She was just showing almost anything, but she was able to wrestle well. So is she going to go down that road, or is she going to crank back the sexuality and bring more up of the wrestling? But once in a while, she'll let the sexuality come out. That's what she's going to have to learn. It's strategy, guys. I say this right now to anyone who doesn't understand wrestling. In pro wrestling, you have to find a balance of not just being a great wrestler, male or female. You have to be able to balance your physique, your character, your mic skills, and your charisma. If you don't balance those out, you're always going to be off. And a lot of times people will notice it, and either they'll think that you're just eye candy, like what happened with Mandy Rose, who changed everything around and made her more special, or like a CJ, who's for Milana, who's more eye candy than anything else. She's not a great wrestler. But if AEW has her more as a manager, you'll be seeing more of a sexy manager that once in a while wrestles than a wrestler who should be a manager. Lash Legends should be a manager, not a wrestler. She's a big-ass woman. She looks strong. She can probably lift me up and whoop my ass. But if she's more of a manager, she's got to be a manager that once in a while wrestle. Let's move on. Thea and JC James burst. Well, let me give it to you like this. When I see Vice and Elektra, I can understand the pairing. The thing that I love the most about them being together is, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not going to tell you that Elektra Lopez is a great wrestler. She's not. She's beautiful. She's sexual. She looks more of a manager than she is a wrestler. Because she wrestles. She's more better as a manager than she wrestles. She's not a bad wrestler, but she's not a great one. And Vice is a better wrestler than her. But due to the fact they could use her to help Vice more, that's what I like. I like to see her help Vice more because she's more of a manager style. And the music for Elektra, I love it. I don't know why I love her intro. And I have not been able to find a video on YouTube that just has her music without hearing audio of of Vic or of Booker T. I want to get that music. I just can't find it. But when you see the match, this was not about those two. This was about Thea getting over with Andre Chase and Duke Hudson watching, which they won. They did. And it was Thea who did the Kimura lock on Elektra Lopez. You can see how much they care about Elektra. They don't. Like I said, Elektra is more of a manager style who could actually wrestle once in a while. She should not be a wrestler all the time. Have her help out Vice way more. That's what I think they should be doing. And let her wrestle with her once in a while. The last match will be the North American title. Let's make this clear. Did I believe that Trick was going to win? No. Did I believe Dom was going to win? I didn't really think about it, but I knew Trick wasn't going to win. I just knew. So it was obvious that Dom was going to win. I knew that Judgment Day was going to be there, and they did show up. And what happened? They used everything in their mama to get Dom over, which they did. They basically ganged up on Trick. He got his ass whooped, and he lost his title. So, of course, he'll get a rematch. But pretty much this is what we got with Judgment Day. Judgment Day got the title back to a Dominic. Now, I did say, and I still believe this, that Dominic will eventually drop that title permanently and will go after Ray, his dad. He will keep that title until it's time for Dom, because I think this is a trial period with Dom. It looks like they tested to see if Dom could get over without the title on Raw. They knew he wasn't going to, so that's the reason why they had him retrieve it. It's obvious. But was this about the NXT fan base? Was this about the NXT wrestlers? No. This was about Judgment Day. This is about making sure Judgment Day was the strongest it can be and the strongest presence on NXT. As I said, this is not about NXT. This was nothing about NXT. This was about the main roster making NXT more prominent on USA. That's what this is all about. The majority of the talent there is really not going to get over until they go to the main roster. So we don't know what's going to happen with Carmelo. After he's finished with Braun Breaker, he will be going off at Dragunov. But the question is, will it be over after that? I don't know. Will Braun Breaker finally go to the main roster after he faces Carmelo? Because at this point, what else is for him to do? Carmelo is got to finish with Dragunov. He's got to have his rematch. And I doubt he'll win. But essentially, he's ready to go to the main roster for at least the last 6 months. Braun Breaker, he's ready to go to the main roster. Not because he's ready, it's because there's nothing for him to do. What is he going to do? He's not going after the NXT Championship. He's already faced Dragunov. So I don't see him going after Dragunov unless they got nothing for Dragunov to work with. So one of them's got to go off to the main roster, maybe by Halloween Havoc. Or better yet, when they have Survivor Series will be the first time they show up, and then they will be heading to the main roster after that. But it's just me. Peace.